we're going to be talking about the double 4 patch. Sometimes it's called a 16 patch, and sometimes I believe it's called the St. Louis patch. I'd have to research that one though. But whatever name you call it, it's a great scrap busting block. And that's what I'm doing now. During the video, you're going to see different parts of my table where I have just scraps piled up. You can use your 2.5-inch cuts that you already have in your scrap stash. You can use 2.5-inch strips that are left over from other projects, or left over from bindings, or left over from trimming down a backing. But whatever you decide to do, it's a great scrap busting project. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not making a quilt. I'm actually going to be making a curtain for my window behind me when I'm sitting down in my sewing machine, and also a curtain for my side window. It's been a while since I've done something with this room in regards to the windows, and I feel as though I need to do something. Hello and welcome. My name's Angela Davis, and I'm the 4M Quilter, and today we're going to talk about the 16 patch. And as I said earlier, the 16 patch has a couple of different names, but whatever you call it, it is fantastic for using up scraps. And I've been trying to find ways to do some scrap busting lately because I have too many scraps. And as I said earlier, I definitely need curtains behind me, and I need curtains on my side window. So I got my inspiration from Kate Jackson from The Last Homely House. And if you've ever watched her YouTube channel, she has a whole wall of postage stamp curtains that she made for her back windows. So I'm taking inspiration from that. She did do a video about it, and I don't remember her finished size of her small square in her block. My finished size is going to be 2 inches because I'm using 2.5-inch strips. I also was lucky enough to find some 5-inch cut squares in my basement, in my one of my scrap bins. So I'm definitely going to cut these up and use these. And of course, leftover 2.5-inch strips from other projects. Now, some of the tips I want to give you for prepping your fabric for making this particular block is, number one, you're going to press everything. And what I've done is, to make it easier to stitch, I'm taking my full strip, and I'm right at the fold, I'm cutting it, so that when I'm sewing it to my white, here's my alternate white, I think I already cut this, yeah, so that when I'm sewing it to my alternate white, it's the half of the width of fabric. And the reason why I do that is, half of width of fabric gives you one block. So if you want more variety, you can work with just half strips, not full strips. Or if you want to put in a couple doubles, if you don't care if you have some repeats, use the full length of the strip. But I'm using half strips because I want this to be a little more random. I also found some real pretty floral. I think I have that one up there already. And then I also have some of this print left over from a project. I might iron that up and cut that up. I even have some black, and I think this was from a backing. No, this was from a quilt. So I'm definitely going to be getting into my scraps. I was going through and pulling some other ones out that are sort of odd shapes. And here's a couple more little squares. I remember cutting a bunch of 5-inch squares several years ago thinking that I would make a scrap quilt, and I never did. So here's my chance. I pulled those out. Here's some yellow that I can include This reminds me of fruit. Those circles. I thought that was a pretty pattern. Polka dots are always great in a scrap quilt. It's another. This one is a 2-patch. I can cut this up to make a 4-patch. And then I have another one that needs press that I thought I could cut up to make a 4-patch. And then these are sort of a rectangle shape, a plaid. Plaids are also wonderful. I don't know what I was doing here, but I don't know, circles, pumpkins maybe, snowmen, don't know. But anyway, they're going to be a 4-patch to put into my curtain quilts. Let's see what else I have. Oh, here's some. I only have one of these. Oh, and then I have this stripe. Stripes are also wonderful. Some of these are 3 inches wide, some are 3.5. I'm just trimming them down to 2.5 inches. And this right here, this purple lavender, I've probably had this purple lavender for at least 20 years, maybe longer. I used up a lot of this for backing quilts. I remember buying a lot of this and using it for backing. So I'm going to be, I found that in my scrap bin, and I was really excited because I want to put that in my curtains. The white that I'm using is a bolt that I got from the thrift store. And when I bought this, I was very, very excited because it had several yards on it. And so I snatched it up and brought it home. And I didn't use it for a while. So I really didn't examine it that much. But I didn't realize till I started working with it that it's actually broadcloth. And what broadcloth is a blend of cotton poly. Now, I've said this in the past, I have used sheets that are blends of cotton poly, but I don't do anything less than 60% cotton, 40% polyester because it still feels like cotton. However, broadcloth has a higher percentage polyester in it. And as a result, it doesn't have that softness in it. Do you hear that? That's the polyester. So it does have more of a polyester feel to it. And so I really wasn't happy with myself that I didn't examine it more while I was at the thrift store. However, now that I have it, I want to use it. You know, I bought it, so I'm going to use it. So I thought this is a perfect opportunity to use it for the curtains in my sewing room because they are going to be curtains. You know, it's not going to be a quilt for someone. So I don't have to be concerned with the content of the amount of cotton in the fabric because they're going to be hanging up in my window. And once I'm finished getting the curtains measured and done, I think I'm going to do double fullness for each window, maybe 3 fullnesses. What I'm going to do with the back, if I have enough, when I'm done putting the curtain together, is I might use the rest of this bolt to line the back of it because I do want to line the back of it so that it will cut down on the amount of fading. So with that being said, I just started these blocks this morning and before work and after work, and I already have 6 blocks done. So I'm just going to continue on sewing the rest of the week, and when I get to a point where I have the full panel done, I'll tune in again to give you a recap. But I just wanted to give you some ideas about scrap busting using the Great 16 patch. It's basically a double 4 patch, and you can even make it more scrappy where each color block is completely different from the other and make it sort of like a charm block. I'm using it so that one 16 patch is white alternating with one color or one pattern. But there's a lot of variations you can do with this to give you lots of ideas to scrap bust and dive into those scraps to use up what's been accumulated for the year, so that later on in the year you can use some of your planned fabric for some of those special projects that you have. So that's it for this evening. I'm Angela Davis, and I am the 4am Quilter. Remember, why sleep when you can sew? I'm here to share, care, and create with you, and to share my ideas with you. And I know this was sort of a little impromptu video, but I was getting really excited about it. Hope you enjoyed this midweek impromptu video on the 16 patch. Trying to use up as many scraps as you possibly can and to give you some ideas and inspiration. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, give me a comment, subscribe so you can see my next video when I post the update on the patchwork curtains that I'm doing for my sewing room. You guys have a great night. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. Here's a little hug from Angela. Hope you have a great night. Take care.